Welcome back to the Alpha Strike, guys. This is the one you have been waiting for. This is the super rare and chase review for X-Men Xavier School. We do have George
Yo.
and Pedro.
Hello, everybody.
And this is George is representing your new guy interests. I'll be representing your casual guy interests. And Pedro will be representing your meta competitive interests. We're going to lead off. George, have at it.
All right. Number 49, Professor X Dreamer. Keywords: New Mutants, X-Men, real name Charles Xavier, trait, title character, see inside. Okay, sorry for the long pause for those who play the home version. For a new player, I could try and I'm going to go ahead and read all this, and then I'll definitely give a score. Title character. Title characters start the game with and can accumulate tokens called plot points on their card. They have special plot abilities activated by free actions that can add and remove plot points. Black Book, add plot points. Book, use plot points. You can only activate one plot ability at a turn. When you activate or Black Book plot ability, give the title character that many plot points. You can't activate the plot points ability unless you are able to remove that many plot points. Title characters also have continuity trait abilities with a closed book. Continuity abilities have protective pulse wave. You may only have one title character on your starting force, and title characters can't replace or be replaced by other characters. At the very bottom, it has a plus X plot points, minus X plot points. Close book. At the end of your turn, if the title character activated a plot ability but didn't make an attack, deal one unavailable damage. When Professor X Dreamer is KO'd, opposing characters modified damage +1 for the rest of the game. +1 for the plot points. Violence is not the answer. Free. All friendly characters within range modify defense until your next turn. He has a 7 range, 1 bolt. Minus plot points, -4. Freeze motor functions. Free. Choose an opposing character within range and line of fire. It gains immobile and modifies its attack -2 until your next turn. And then its last plot point, ability -9. The dream of peaceful coexistence. Free. For the rest of the game, as long as Professor X Dreamers on the map, friendly characters reduce damage taken by an additional 1. He starts off with 3 plot points. He has mind control the last 2, TK first 3, power first 3, shape change, and then he gets super senses and enhancement. You know what? Right out of the bat, 1.
Not for your new guy in mind.
Nope.
So, as far as the casual standpoint, title characters are a lot of fun. They are extremely complicated, but they can bring an extra level to your theme game. Having Xavier with other X-Men allows you to heal him while he's ranking up those title points, gets to lock somebody down. I personally get a lot of fun out of title characters. They are my one vice on what I try and collect. Make sure that I have all the title characters, even though you can use one of them. But as far as fun goes, Xavier, because he does have the ability to be healed with X-Men team ability, which I always look for, to be able to rack up tokens and sit in the back and do what I need to do. And he's got TK, be able to throw people out there when need be. I'm going to give him a 7.
Okay, yeah. In sealed, I see the potential, but the truth of the matter is this title character, despite having a great sculpt and a good visage, the cost effectiveness, the risk reward is too complicated. He starts with 3 plot points. You need 6 consecutive. For instance, in sealed, with all due respect, he sucks because whenever you add plot points, you don't have anything to dish your attack on. He shouldn't be in your front line attacking. He's going to be taking damage. So to reach that -4 and then get one guy to have to be immobile and -2 attack, it's going to buy you 1 round, and then your opponent KOs him, which is not that hard to do, especially if he knows the dial. Then do 2 damage and then 3. The shape change is there, might help, but again, it's a very expensive and a very big liability to have your whole opponent team get +1 damage. He needs 6 consecutive rounds of adding plot points to increase damage reduction on your whole team, and it's only reduction, so penetrating will still ignore the whole effort you had to make this happen. So it's a cool idea on this particular one, but we're going to see a lot better title characters. And unfortunately, the cost reward here, it makes it with all due respect, unplayable in sealed, in my opinion, and very hard to see table in constructed. So 0 in
So,
sealed
quick
and 1 in
question, Pedro.
constructed. Hmm.
If I have Invincible and I, by some miracle, pull off the -9, is my Invincible going to reduce damage by 3 and still allow a maximum of 3 because it can reduce penetrating damage?
I would definitely say that because they changed the wording of invincible to reduce and not to ignore anymore. The same way
So
Beta
there
Ray
you go.
Bill
There
with
could be a
Beta Ray Bill with this guy would reduce Luke Cages. They all would reduce an extra penetrating.
interesting
So
thought.
yep.
All right. So up next, number 50, Magneto Realist. Keywords: Acolytes, Brotherhood of Mutants. Real name: Eric Lensher. Since George so conveniently went over the title character explanation, we'll skip that to save time. His continuity effect at the end of your turn: if the title character activated plot ability and didn't make an attack, deal 1 unavoidable damage. That is standard. Now, note this is make an attack. So you do actually have to roll the dice. This did come up the other night when Magneto targeted Shape Change and there was successful Shape Change. There wasn't anybody else for him to target. Because he did not make the attack, he did take the 1 avoidable damage, even though he did try. Next continuity: when Magneto Realist is KO'd, friendly characters modify damage by -1 for the rest of the game. Power down. His Black Book plot ability for +1: mutants must force change. Free, all friendly characters within range modify attack by +1 until your next turn. He does have 7 range. His -2 plot ability for Open White Book: Magnetic Wave free, move all friendly characters within range up to 2 squares. Breakaways will still apply here. And then -9, the Dream of Supremacy, and it is a dream to see this happen. Free, for the rest of the game, as long as Magneto Realist is on the map, friendly characters modify damage by +1. Starts with 3 plot points. In my opinion, beautiful dial for 100 points. Running shot Pensai 11. Basically, you bump up to a 12. Invuln with an 18 and 4 damage. With flight, drops into sidestep, RCE, precision strike with toughness. Finishes off with force blast, perplex, pulse wave, and energy shield flexion. Brotherhood team ability. I just like to say thank you, WizKids, for making an amazing Magneto, but you left out the TK trait. Just saying. Go ahead, George.
Well, pretty rainbows on the back of the card, but again, since it is a title character for Newbie, it's going to be a 1.
1. So, from a casual standpoint, looking at his keywords, I've tried to build with this. There is not a whole lot in Modern for Brotherhood, and probably even less for Acolytes. And it doesn't mesh well as far as teams go. The fact that it's going to be really hard to find a themed supporter, so you're instantly breaking theme, and as soon as you do that, a whole world of possibilities open up for you, and he is going to help you roll. Having a +1 attack, being able to move characters within 2 squares, there are some serious shenanigans that I don't know if Pedro's willing to share with you about that, but they are out there. So, but from a casual standpoint, I'm a little biased because he's a Magneto, but I'm going to give him a 7 because, no, I'm going to bump that to an 8 because he is really effective with what he does. I've had a chance to run him, and he lasts a good long while, and, your opponent's going to be trying to push to down him, but never quite make it.
Awesome. So it's in sealed. In sealed, there's so many pros and cons here. I'm gonna try to be super quick about it, but the stats, like you mentioned, the dial is ridiculous for 100 points. This is a dream dial for 100 points. Of course, it comes with the cost of being KO'd and then having the consequence of losing him are important. -1 damage on your team is complicated. He has leadership. Another con is that he doesn't have a very friendly keyword for a set that's going to be played likely at team probs. So that's a little bit of a con. But his leadership is not that bad because you're not relying on the keywords to actually clear people, because you're not going to have many pieces of 100 points or more on the table playing with him. So his leadership will be effective given the likelihood of the rest of the team that you're going to build around him. But despite the lack of willpower, which is to me the last con, he's amazing. He has a big reach, nine running shot with seven range. That's a 12 reach right there. 11 for 4 penetrating is ridiculous. You're probably going to be either one shotting or seriously damaging opponents. Even if your next two clicks, we always praise for due reason the sidestep ranged combat expert combo. It's amazing. He always perplexing attack by one. So unless you're using any of the special powers, you're see his attacks at +1 everywhere, especially if you are actually attacking, because then you're not going to suffer the damage. So yes, I think in Seal he deserves a serious consideration, and if he can be a solid 8 there, even with the lack of willpower. um Unconstructed, like you said, I'm not going to give him the full treasure, but guys, don't underestimate his -2 plot point powers, because it makes guys move for free. So this guy is just as good as your Michelangelo that gives free side stats to people. Think about the figures that do things for free when they move, and there's no restriction on moving. Be careful though, because some of them do things for free after they move when you give them a power action, and Magneto will not going to help those. But if you want someone from the old school, when Iceman moves and he moves through someone, he can lock them down. People were using the Michelangelo to make him sidestep and go through one. This guy makes him do it. So, think about other characters. You're going to find many shenanigans to do with this guy. And this guy is one that you can bring to the front line. Even if it's hit for some serious damage, it's going to end up either with Perplex or Ranged Combat Expert. You might have some Pulse Wave that might save the day at the end of the day. Yes, you have to pay attention because you don't want to lose this guy. But, don't just rule him out because, the trade-off of losing him is bad and he doesn't have willpower. Watch out, guys. Played nicely, played with finesse. This guy can be a serious threat. So I would say 7 or 8 for Seal because the dials is strong enough, even with the cons. And for the right shenanigans, this guy is a 9. And even with the wrong shenanigans, this guy is still a 7 in constructed. I like this angel very much. Let's go through him so George can comment. He has the Defenders team ability and the X-Men team ability. He has the keywords Champions, Defenders, X Factor, and X-Men. Great keywords. His real name is Warren Worthington III. He has improved movement. This character can move to a square adjacent to or occupied by opposing characters without stopping, automatically breaking away, and ignoring plasticity. He has the trait X Factor. When you roll, the character hits with an attack, modify damage by 1 for each 5 in the attack roll, so he could potentially be doing 5 damage with knockback on his top dials on either starting lines. And he has a special damage power on both starting lines, which is the financial backer of X Factor. Free. Choose an adjacent friendly character with the X Factor keyword, and if the character has one action token, here with one click, and if that character has 2 actions tokens, remove one. We had this debate, and unfortunately, you cannot remove one and then heal one. It's either or, so you check it once and then you do it. But George, what do you think?
It sounds like it's pretty straightforward. Because I was just thinking about that. Well, if you remove an action token, can you heal?
No.
Bummer.
There's a quote in the rulebook that references the order of something that happens in a power. We dropped it in the Cerebros. This was a pretty big debate we had for a while, but I did find it after having a nice long discussion with Erks, and so we shared it in the Cerebros, and it just kind of settled that debate and really kind of rained on my parade. So
That does sound like it was a bummer. You know what? For Angel, it seems pretty straightforward. Some of the same stuff. Let's give Angel a 7.
7 for Angel. All right, having Champions, Defenders, X Factor, and X-Men, I'm just drooling about the theme teams that can build from that. And on top of, if you run an X Factor with that financial backer, you could really break that. And, I was trying to build something with the miskeyworded title Deadpool, who happens to have X Factor, and just run that around. This Angel is great as a call-in at 60 or 50 points. being able to, if you roll 10, you would do 5 damage with knockback, which could potentially do another one. And he, let's see, moves through squares adjacent or occupied. So he's got that improved movement. Overall, this could be a great, fun character to play. His sculpt, I wonder why he's doing the double fist upswing instead of the double fist downswing, but whatever. Sculpt really doesn't affect play that much. I'm going to have to give him a 7 for casual play. He's got a lot going for him.
Yep. Remember we were talking about all new Wolverine, and it would be great if has someone that could carry and be right up of people's faces. Well, this guy can carry her for 11, then carry again for 11. When they're paired together, she gets X Factor from him, so he can keep healing her and removing her tokens. I think it's a great pair for her. Of course, in Seal you cannot plan to get them both, but if you do, you're gonna be in for a treat. I think for 60 points, 6 clicks. If you manage to get right up your opponent's face, his defenses are great. 20 against close combat, and then he has super senses in the very end. His damage power is great. Again, this is a set that has very good shooters, but if you can play the map to your favor and get him right up there, he could be decisive. His special damage power is really, really good if you can build around with it. And there are teams that you can have their X-Men or X-Factor that can guarantee you the team regardless. So I think it's a solid 7. I would even dare say 8 in sealed, because the potential to pair up with other people that straight up their faces is great. And I think he's a decent call in for the card. I think Angel ID card should not be dismissed. Again, we're seeing a lot of potent ID cards dropping with rotation. Energy Seal Deflection is a pretty decent power to be awarded. And you call him in, and it's a cheap point. It's going to make your teleporter turn, and it's not a bad 6. It's not going to be able to do the full 6. We're going to go full range within what an ID character can move. And then 3, remember, ID characters post rotation, and you're not going to be calling in bazookas anymore. It's going to be something more behaved. And if you have an X Factor team, you can even benefit from his special damage power, because it's a free action and he can do it after being called in. So I like him very much. He might see constructed definitely after rotation, not yet for the moment, because there's still some cool things. His last click is amazing. If you manage to get there, never rely on it, but it's amazing. But I like him. In sealed he can be potentially really good, and someone to watch for post rotation in constructed.
All right, number 52, Cyclops, keyword X-Men. Real name Scott Summers. 3 different traits. First one, Headmaster, X-Men. Leadership, period. Perplex, but only to target another friendly character with the X-Men keyword. During force construction, you may include 1 student ID card on your force without adding its cost. Second trait, stay away from my students. Free. Make a range attack, but only to target an opposing character that damaged another friendly character with the X-Men keyword with an attack since your last turn. Breath. All right, so the third trait, rebuild the X Institute. Sidestep, period. If Cyclops is closer to an opponent's starting area than his own, he can use Penetrating Psychic Blast. Otherwise, he can use Energy Shield Deflection. He does ignore blocking and destroys it when he shoots through it.
That would be a single square of blocking terrain. Or a single piece, excuse me. Single piece of blocking terrain when shooting.
2-point values, 150 and 50. Running shot, precision strike, energy explosion. Bounces around, looks like, between willpower and mastermind. Range combat experts, X-Men team ability. Lot to read as far as traits go, but once you kind of read over the card a couple times, I'd probably give Cyclops a 6.
6. All right, casual standpoint, just X-Men keyword, but I love building X-Men themed teams. Difference between 150 points and 50 points. 150 points is going to be the majority of your team in a small build, but you're playing casual. Go big or go home. Run all your biggest favorite X-Men together. Your 150 point Rogue, 150 point Cyclops, 150 point Wolverine. Just go to town. Just be like, okay, this is Night of the Sentinels. This is where it happens. The fact that he basically has Pensai, his whole dial, if he's on the other side of the map, or energy shield deflection, he is so useful. And then to top it off, he can ID card call in at 50 points. This guy is the full package from any standpoint, as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to give him a straight up 9.
I do love the scope.
Awesome. Well, in sealed, he has great flexibility. I would say I would start with the rate. It's an 8 for me. Why is that? Because he can be your main attacker, and he's gonna have energy deflection. Then he turns into penetrating. He has, if you have an X-Men team, he'll probably be attacking twice every turn. I think he only lacks. And what you need to watch out is maybe it's worth to push him to second click so you can mastermind into other characters of your team. He's gonna be, since he has a big chance of attacking twice every turn. You can do the one turn attacking twice and then breathe, one turn then clear, you can alternate, because you will mathematically be doing one attack per turn. Don't want to get to theory crafting here. And also, worst case scenario, for 50 points, he's a great secondary attacker. 19 defense is great. It's a little bit risky, but you can pull it off. It's a 12 swing to hurt people pretty bad with precision strike. Great against many characters that we've seen with super senses. So I like him in sealed for the flexibility and the damage capability. In meta, I would definitely say this guy will be in everybody's list for an ID call-in, because he's kind of the Spider-Man to break the barrier and hit someone. The damage is not that amazing, which is one of the things that is complicated. But if you have someone that can call in and perplex damage, you call him at 150 points. If your tent pole affords it, perplexes damage, and you're taking down super rare Green Lantern. So against the barrier meta, he's going to be very good. And worst case scenario, you can bring him at 50. The only downside to 50 is that's very likely to kill him on retaliation, while the 151, your opponent needs to deal him 7 points of damage to see him through. Likely, unless your opponent has crazy damage capabilities, not see happening. So great against barrier. So definitely see him as a call-in. On the table as a main guy, I doubt it. I doubt it. You aren't supposed to do a mastermind team with him being the tent pole, nor does he has the willpower consistently to see this through. So I would advise caution, but again, in sealed, it's a great opportunity. It's flexible and can wreak havoc.
So just one thing real quick on the 50-point ID card call-in, he does have sidesteps, so you can actually running shot his full range, which will be 4, and then sidestep afterward, which will put him 6 outside of his ID card, and he'll vanish. So you don't have to worry about being retaliated and handing out those 50 points to your opponent.
Yep.
So always remember that.
Always.
All right,
good.
Up next, the much anticipated super rare Wolverine, number 53, Weapon X, X-Men keywords, ignores hindering terrain for movement purposes, real name James Howlett. I remember back in the day when we were still getting real name Logan. Headmaster trait, leadership perplex, but only target X-Men or other friendlies with X-Men, gets a student ID card for free. Trait, stay away from my students, free, make a close attack, but only to target an opposing character. Is damage another friendly character with the X-Men keyword since your last turn. I like to, and this combined with Cyclops, I like to think this is kind of a diet retaliation. Oh, you hit my other X-Men? I'm going to move my full movement, and then I'm going to run up and I'm going to punch you. Or if you're close enough, I'm going to charge and or running shot, and then do a normal attack, and then shoot you or hit you again for free. His third trait, different kind of professor, sidestep period. When he's closer to the opponent's starting area than his own, he can use flurry. Otherwise, he can use combat reflexes. And then on his special defense power, stop, regen. On the back, we were looking at 150 points and 50 points. Just like Cyclops, X-Men team ability, but indomitable. And at 150 points, gotta breathe. Okay, starts with a 10 movement, charge, 12 attack, 18 defense, 3 damage, which with blades, you're not going to worry about that too much, but that means you're doing a minimum of 2. So you can run 10, be on the other side of the board, and shiv somebody, and then they hit you, and then you stop click. They hit you again, 1, 2, stop. They hit you again, 1, 2, 3, stop. And then, oh, I'm sorry, you did 3 swings in a 300-point game and no leadership. My turn. And then you're on the other side of the board, ready to flurry with an 11 on blades. And if they didn't shoot him that many times and they shot another X-Men, you've got another close attack on your backup. He does uh, jump in between exploit and battle fury on the lower end, toughness throughout. He's just pound for pound an amazing character.
Okay. Let's give him also like a 7.
7.
Yeah.
All right. From casual standpoint, being able to build into Weapon X and X-Men, good themes there. Everybody loves to play Wolverine. It's going to come back to the same thing with Cyclops. Run all your big X-Men together or run them short. If you bring ID cards to a casual game, 50-point ID card is going to be amazing. And overall, I'm going to have to give him an 8. Wolverine, amazing sculpt.
Yeah, the scope speaks for itself. In Seal, this guy is great. I mean, unless you are the luckiest man in the universe and you pull a Green Arrow elsewhere chasing your X-Men brick, you're likely gonna be able to use this guy very effectively in Shield. His worst attack is 10. You cross the midline of the map, you have traded Flurry. You're alternating between Exploit Weakness and Battle Fury. So this guy is a means lean killing machine, and you're gonna get what your money's worth there. Especially if you have someone to carry him, maybe even the Angel. It's not gonna be teamed, but it's still good. You have many other carries, Storm and whatever. So it's fun. In Seal, he's going to be great because it's going to be hard to go through that that stop click before you eat someone alive. If you cross it's going to be very hard to hit him if your opponent comes to you, and very easy for you to slice them up if you go to them. So I love him in Seal. That's an 8, possibly a 9, depending on who you're facing. And it's really interesting, especially because Outwit's not going to do it because stop is protected. So unfortunately, as the current meta, you can call in people that just chew through stop clicks on the defensive power. For the moment, he's not playable, but I've heard conversations about using him as your 10th pole for ID cards call-ins once the rotation is out and Green Arrow can only be on the table because it's relatively less complicated to piloting around a Green Arrow that you see on the table, the one that you can bring as a call-in. So he might actually be, just due to the stop click, a good call-in battery. And worst case scenario, or even best case scenario, for opponent can deal with him in that capacity, and you get close to your opponent, then his dial speaks for itself. So it's a very cool, and the sculpt is ridiculous, and he's Wolverine. So
Everybody's favorite.
exactly.
Yeah, he's my second favorite.
You're fired.
Exactly. Poor Gateway and his flabby spear, whatever stone. Um, so Gateway,
I thought it was a hookah.
no, it is. I'm just making fun of it. Keywords: Generation X, Reavers, X-Force, and X-Men. Real name unknown. He has only one trait, which is the Wormhole Walkabout. Passenger 8. Gateway may carry characters with Wing Symbol or Battle Fury if they share a keyword with him. When Gateway carries 2 or more characters, after resolutions, end your action phase, meaning you begin the end you begin the end of turn phase, which is an amazing tongue twister there. But so 12 phasing teleport, 0 attack, 0 range. He's not meant to do anyone, and 0 damage. 16 super defense, so no willpower, but prob on your first 2 clicks. George, what do you think of Mr. Unknown Gateway?
As a new player, the fact that I can carry, everybody on my team, for the most part, is going to be fantastic. So I'm going to give Gateway probably my highest one yet, a 9.
Wow. Super carry, easy to use, straightforward dial. All right. Generation X, Reavers, X-Force, and X-Men. Oh my goodness. This is like the set for keywords. I could build so much with this guy. And, then you still get to carry Battle Fury and Flight if he shares a keyword with them. Wow. So I have had the fortune and or misfortune to pull this guy in both of my seals. and you hear a frustrated sigh from George. This guy, he plays very specifically. You wouldn't think it. Carry 8 people. Okay, I'm done. Your turn. Oh, okay, I carry 8 people again. I'm done. You have to pace him just right, and if you put him with enough headmasters with leadership, he's always a perfect escape strategy. Snack your points and run. I'm going to bleed a little bit into Pedro's field here for the meta, but having shape change, or I'm sorry, super senses and probability control on a taxi, that's amazing. As far as casual goes, I'm gonna have to give him a 9, just because he hasn't failed me, and he's got so many great keywords to build off of, and never say no to prob, never.
Yep. Yep, I agree with you. I think his trade-off is interesting because you are able to carry flyers and Battle Fury, which is very aggressive, and we see a couple figures here that can do some very big harm with that. Prob is always great because then you can sit on the back and control your attacks. 50 points is not that expensive, so the thing is, you will be he's undoubtedly unbeatable for getting away, right? I mean, because you cannot control some of the Wolverine starts without Battle Fury, but then hits Battle Fury, and then only Getaway can carry him out of trouble. So if you want to regen afterwards, so he demands a little bit more finesse than your usual carry, exactly because once you're done carrying, you're gonna end your action phase. So if you're gonna carry forward for aggressiveness, you definitely need to know how to use the map in your favor. But if you're running away, that's kind of autoplay. That then his hand is unbeatable. You need no instructions, just run away. So it's the sole reason why it requires a little bit more finesse and a specific team that has a good capability of bridging the gap once they were carried once or eventually twice. I wouldn't give it a higher note in sealed, but if you don't have a carry, he's going to be amazing in sealed, so a 7 or even 8 depending on your team. On constructed, again, if you know what you're doing, your team will have the range, and you have a map that if you help you win a map with it, in the right hands of a skilled player, this guy can go the distance. Otherwise, people will end up relying on the standard carries and use what's in there because people are usually more resistant to change. But keep an eye on this guy, properly used with a little bit more finesse. He can surprise people.
All right, number 55, Old Man Logan. Keywords X-Men and Future. Real name Logan.
Highly anticipated figure.
First trait. Let's see. The longest road trip. Once per game, if a friendly character that can use this trait is KO'd in an opponent's starting area, you may take an extra turn after your next turn.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna double check this with you, Pedro, because it did come up during our tournament, and I was judged, and I did rule it this way. I treat this as a trigger effect, so when he hits KO'd, if he's in the opponent's starting area, even though he KOs, the trigger goes off, and you get another turn on your next turn. Because the first question I always hear from this guy is, who else has this trait? Because they're thinking they need 2 people to do it. I think he sets himself off. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Clearly, my view is this was made to you KO him in his in the opponent's starting area, you get an extra turn.
All right, second trait. Broken healing factor. Regeneration, period. When Old Man Logan uses it, he heals 1 less. He's got a damage ability for the first 3 clicks. It's Mentor the Young. Empower, period. Adjacent friendly characters of less points can use combat reflexes, period. If they already can, modify their defense +1 instead. He's 75 points. He does have charge first click. 2 and 3, he gets the sidestep. The rest of his movement is empty. He gets blades first 3. After that, no more blades. First 3 defense, he's got let's see, combat reflexes. And then he drops down to super senses, special damage ability 3, last 3 exploit. For a new character, let's give him 7.
7?
7.
All right, 7 for a new player. X-Men Future, good keywords. Longest road trip. I'm looking at this and I'm seeing some shenanigans, but I'm going to leave it up to Pedro. If he doesn't say them, I'm going to call him out. I've seen him played. The fact that on 4th click he just goes to a stationary I'm stuck here, but he can come back slowly if your opponent leaves him alone. And that low end defense, as far as casual play, you're going to want to play him just for the fact that it's Old Man Logan. And
Yeah.
you could have a lot of fun running Old Man Logan. But once he takes a hit, if they focus fire, he's done. I'm going to have to only give him a 6 in casual because your main focus is going to be setting up a scenario.
Yep. Again, in Seal, he's going to be heavily dependent on whoever you pull to make sure that you can carry him through so that he can sneak up and stick into someone's face. Compared to the all-new Wolverine and Wolverine, I think he does suffer. I think WizKids made a small printing mistake, and in his second trade, it should be free regeneration. Old Man Logan can do it with one less, because having a power action just for that, I don't think it's going to be worth it or anyone's going to risk it. But that's me. I like Angel carrying him because then Angel get 19 defense because he's lower points and has combat reflexes. To me, he's the best attacker of 75 points on melee only. A lot better stuff from ranged. So I would give a 6 to Sealed. Unconstructed, it's gonna be, with all due respect, it's gonna enter into the Magog category. Amazing to put him on the starting area. And see happening. The easy part here is that he just need to be KO'd there. He doesn't need to get there on his own. So you have a good carry, you put him there, and you wait for people to. It's going to be a kind of indirect point denial. Do I really want to kill him, or do I not? But I'm interested in the shenanigans though, because I couldn't spot it immediately. If you can be so kind.
Well, first, so you're going down the right road with the shenanigans here. Mangog carries Old Man Logan, who's possessed, who leaves a Darwin back in the starting area. Carries him across the board. Pick a power, take damage. Oh, dial move. Pick a power, take damage. Dial move. Oh, I KO Old Man Logan for 75 points. Hey, I get another turn. Magog cranks up to 450 points. Here he comes.
Two
and he carried
attacks
him
of
the whole way.
12
They took the road trip together.
Nice.
Oh,
And you still have a few points to spare. I don't know what you're going to throw in there, but it could be worth it.
and just for fun, for that, it's a long road trip. Old Man Logan's sidestep ability says, "Are we there yet?"
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Awesome.
So I'm just theory crafting that. It's not very well thought out, but I think with a little bit of ironing, a little bit of tampering, that could be it's something for casual. I don't know if it make the meta scene, but it could be fun. Dust, number 56. Very excited to see this character. Hellions X-Men. I was actually surprised to see that she has the Hellions keyword, but not the Hellions trait. Real name, Suryara Kadir. Ignores elevated and hindering. Always love to see improved movements. X-student, when this characters or an adjacent friendly character's role includes exactly 1/5, modify the target's defense by -1. Second trait, Scouring Sands. Smoke cloud as free, but only to place 4 markers. At the end of each opponent's turn, deal 1 damage to each opposing character occupying or adjacent to a smoke cloud marker placed by Dust. Now, I do want to throw out a clarification. That is 1 damage for all the markers. So if you're adjacent 3 of them, you take 1. As far as I can figure. Because
it's to A and not to each, right?
1 damage to each opposing character occupying or adjacent to a smoke cloud marker. So, then defensive power, super senses, and she modifies her defense by +1 for each adjacent smoke cloud marker placed by her. 4 range, sidestep, 11 attack, 17 defense with special power for the first 3 clicks, followed by 2 clicks of regen, 50 points. X-Men team ability. Excited to see her because she was introduced in a Phantom X episode. Go for it, George.
Looking at it, some of it's still pretty simple, but I'm going to give it a 5. Just kind of give it rounded.
All right, so for casual play, Hellions and X-Men, a lot of good Hellions in the set, a lot of good X-Men all the way around. The fact that you could reduce their defense by getting exactly 1/5, and then she's got X-Men keywords, so you could have Headmasters perplexing her up on both attack and damage at such a low value. She could be cranking out the equivalent of a 14 and 6 for 50 points and then dealing you damage after the fact. And then her defense could be as high as 20, defended by an 18 up to a 21 with super senses. You could min max her so easily for 50 points. She is a mega sleeper figure and going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to give her an 8.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. I think she's very versatile. She, smoke out free is pretty decent. It's a pity that she's only 50 points and couldn't have a heftier dial because she's begging to get a supreme intelligence to give her stealth and willpower and make her perfect. But I love her as well. Super sensitive, everything in her is synergic. She can even dish out some damage, and if you're close to her and if you don't have a high attack, you're likely being chewed by her sand dust, sandstorm, and her attacks. So I think it's a strong pull in sealed, especially if you have a couple of stealth characters there. She can hold her on, so it's again hard to invest in killing her. Not gonna break X-Men team, so I also give a 7 or even 8. There go to 8 in sealed. Unconstructed, it's all good stuff, but I think it's more complicated to use it amazingly with other stuff. So I'm gonna hold the judgments after rotation to see if we can think about some other shenanigans. But for the moment, I wouldn't be too super crazy about her on constructed, but definitely in sealed, she can hold her own. Okay, well, this guy is probably seal champ. It's the Kid Gladiator, 120 points, 6 range, single bolt. He has the Cosmic, the Imperial Guard, the Shi'ar, if you still have the team base there collecting dust.
I
Ultra
do.
overpowered, but this is, for a conversation to be had a few years ago. The X-Man keyword, and his real name is Kubark. He has the X-Student trait, which we went through many times. He also has the All Glory for Your Imperial Overlord. It's a trait that when Kid Gladiator KO an opposing character, modifies combat values by +1 until another friendly character KOs an opposing character. And then he has a special defense power on his first 3 clicks, which is "You fools, I shall not be ignored." Impervious. Kid Gladiator has protected. Outwit. Please note it is protected in caps, so it not only means this special defense power, it means all powers in his dial, but only from opposing characters of less points, in this case less than 120 points, because when you use his other starting line, this power is gone. What do you think, George?
Well, let's see. Um, let's give Kid Gladiator a 6 because that protected. They're still trying to learn. The big bold letters for protected. So for this one, yeah, I'm safe with giving Kid Gladiator 6 for it.
All right. In a casual game, good keywords, Imperial Guard Shi'ar. If you're reaching back into Golden, I believe there may be a Professor Xavier that has Shi'ar. X-Men, you can pair him up with any X-Men. Cosmic goes a long way. And the fact that, every time he KOs a character, he gets +1 to his values. At 120, you have everybody else soften up the targets, and then he just goes to town. This is another candidate for Storm ID card. If you're going against a Pog team, give them 3 bolts, shoot 3 Pogs, boom, hey, I'm at +3. I'm just going to roll you for the rest of the game. That's just everybody else is going to sit in the back, the other 180 points of my team, and you're going to deal with me for a while. But he is just a beast. He's amazing at 120. I haven't ever seen anybody dare run him at 70, just because I think if he gets clipped once, he's done for, and that's an awful hefty investment for 70
Yep.
points. So I'm gonna have to get in casual, you're gonna have a lot of fun taking out some small point figures and then just rolling your opponent. I'm gonna have to give him an 8.
Yeah, I think this guy is also a auto pick in sealed 9 or 10, and because 4 damage is enough to KO a lot of people, and then he start snowballing, he can get up to a 15, 14, 27. That's not fun at all.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Hashtag Nighthawk Prime. Hashtag Nighthawk
exactly,
Prime.
exactly. Exactly. Put it in the list with the guy who pulled the Green Arrow. Now you need to pull a Nighthawk Prime to curb this guy. Um, so it's an auto playing shield. I've seen talks. I'm hearing to the grapevine. People are willing to actually give this guy a mirror of the symbiote and see if you can give him survivability to try to play in constructed. To make your character think twice before going out for him. I think it's a pretty decent and interesting call because usually you're not thinking about bringing 130 points guys without wit. So if it happens, it's more of by accident or because you managed to pull a nice Superman team ability in the teleporter. So I've heard talk. He might show up. He might show up, especially if the whole meta about bringing Wakanda Warriors, Lokis, and all these pogs to make the teleporter spin comes true. Because if it does, you can give him also the supreme intelligence, so he gets sidestep and willpower, which I think is the only thing he's missing. Sorry, stealth and willpower, which is the only thing he's missing, and sidestep for their first hit. So you can make him quite competent at being nasty, and and if I recall correctly, both the supreme symbiote and mirror for sure, but the supreme intelligence, you do not pick them, you have those powers granted by simply having the dial, so you should be protected from the other shenanigans. So there could be a chance that he's going to make it into meta if it is as a counter pick to pog teams running the teleporter.
Number 58, Magik. New Mutants, X-Men, Mystical. Real name, Ilyana Rasputin. Two traits. First one, the Dark Child, I'm trying to fight it. Dark Child, I'm trying to fight it. Steal energy, period. When Magik KOs an opposing character, after resolutions, roll d6. 1 through 4, deal her 1 unavoidable damage. Second trait, New Mutants. At the beginning of your turn, if this character is adjacent to a friendly character with the New Mutants keyword, you may heal this character with 1 click. If you do, friendly characters cannot make attacks this turn. She's got a move ability for the first 4 clicks. Demonic Mistress of Limbo. Phasing teleport. Stealth. Period. Free. Roll a d6 and place Magik up to that many squares away. Gets Flurry at last 2 clicks. Pensai first 2. Blades. Then nothing. Invincible for 3. Super Senses last 3. Jeez. First 4 clicks. I've played against this character a few times. That's why I never actually looked at the back of the card. First 4 clicks, exploits, last 2, probability control. Oh, and just for funsies, Mystic Steam ability, 6 range, 115 points. New player is gonna have fun with this one, especially if they have the rare. So I'm gonna give this one probably a 7.
7.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got New Mutants, X-Men, Mystical, all beautiful keywords for your theme teams. Her power synergies in her own right. She is a walking, talking murder machine. I mean, wow. Being able to just bamf yourself up to 6 squares and then possibly pen size somebody for 4 or exploit them for 4. Oh, you don't want to hit me back. I steal energy. If I kill you, I take damage, but I steal energy because I hit you up close. So I just come back. It doesn't go anywhere. I can sit in stealth so you can't shoot me unless you bust stealth. She's got so much going for her. She is a massive threat at 115, and being able to throw her on multiple theme teams, wow. Just wow. I'm going to give her a 9.
Yeah, she's very strong in shield as well. It's like a D6 that's phasing teleport again. I keep hearing walls and walls and dungeons and a D6 for 3 teleport with stealth. Man, this is she will get to you. This is a set that doesn't have many characters that bust hindering, therefore stealth. There's not many characters that have invincible, although a couple one can copy or pick. So it's gonna be hard. Her mystic damage will go through. The very last click, if you have any for perplex, she has flurry with steel energy, which is great, and her own prob. Magneto said it right. You look into her, you see damage, damage, damage. It's penetrating on the first 2 clicks no matter what. It's blades and exploit weakness.
Penetrating.
No, I think she's great in seal. There's definitely a solid 8 in seal. She does a lot of damage. She's a main attacker regardless. She's very aggressive on second and third clicks, which is likely where she's going to land because we haven't seen many big damages to rock her off that place. And if she's still up your grill with traded steel energy, she's going to keep coming back on her impervious. And if your opponent cannot manage to deal 4 damage effectively, he's going to have to dish a lot of attacks on her, and she will still heal. So and she can soften up for someone to take the kill. It's funny because she can soften up for Kid Gladiator to take the kill, although it's very likely that you're going to pull
No.
these 2 super rares. But she's great. On Constructed, if you want to do a limited New Mutants team, I've been trying to set something up. It is complicated. I wish there was, but other than a limited New Mutants team, I don't think you're going to build with her, unfortunately, because she's great.
Emma Frost's number 59A. Keywords Hellfire Club, Hellions, and X-Men. Real name? You guessed it, Emma Frost.
No way.
No.
Yep.
You don't
Dun,
say.
dun, dun.
Headmaster, Hellions. Leadership reflect, but only to target another friendly character with the Hellions keyword. During force construction, you get a free student ID. Trait, I'm pushing you to be better. Other friendly characters with the Hellions keyword can use colossal stamina. Just take a moment, look at your Hellions, and see what you could do with them if they just kept going. So she's starts with mind control, 11 attack, willpower, shape change, drops into sidestep, super senses, outwit, and then 16 willpower, shape change with no movement powers, with a point value of 50. So she is really just living it up on that headmaster with your Hellions, with handing out perplex and leadership, maybe a little mind control here and there, and just having them go and go and go.
All right. So, for new player, it's going to be very, simple and easy to understand by this, time if they've got enough characters with the student ID trait for it. I'm going to go ahead and give her probably a 7.
7. As far as casual building goes, Hellfire Club is a very limited keyword, but we did get a full set of Hellions, and of course X-Men are rampant right now. I really wish that the I'm pushing you to be better worked for anybody who shared a keyword with her, but that might just make her broken. And, so both her traits are specific to Hellions, so you're only going to be running a Hellions theme team with her if you're really wanting to run her for 50 points and get advantage of that leadership. So I'm going to give her a 6 only because her total effectiveness is reduced to just the Hellions keyword.
Yep, I think she could be cool in sealed. The Hellions as a single keywords are a little bit more complicated to build a team just about them in the sealed. It's also hard to get them all the same one. But needless to say that being able to grant colossal stamina is super cool. One thing, let me just check properly. Yeah, Mercury does have X-Men team, so you can do a team with X-Men on her. And I love, call me crazy or irresponsible, but I love pushing her. You have 2-3 Mercuries there. Just make them have colossal stamina. It's gonna be a couple 10s for 2. Get them close, plasticity, shape change, and super senses. But then you're gonna have 2 chances of blades exploit weakness with the colossal stamina, just pushing and dishing out damage right there, only for at the risk of losing 35 points each only. So I think you can pull some crazy shenanigans and just keep hammering your opponent and leaving him without what to do against them. But it's a very specific combo for you to pull out. Unfortunately, in constructed, I wouldn't recommend doing this because you get a guy like Adam to retaliate on you, and your force is dust. Not the good dust, bad dust.
So George is like bubbling over here, wanting to drop his combo that he's putting together with Emma Frost over here,
Awesome.
and I'm floored.
So,
Bring it
sitting
in.
here with Emma Frost, I'm sorry for bleeding into your area, and I know I'm a new
By all
guy,
means.
but just for new guys aspect, doing all these videos, I'm being able to pinpoint things to make it work. Emma Frost has the X-Men keyword, right?
Yes.
Look who else has the all-new the X-Men keyword, the all-new Wolverine. Oh,
Mhm.
guess what? All new Wolverine is now a Hellion. Oh, guess what? All new Wolverine has now, what was that? Colossal stamina.
With 2 tokens, regenning 1 at the beginning of each turn with +2 to a roll, and heals 1 on a 5/6. Oh, look, I get to keep going.
Another
Oh
one
my.
that Mike found was
Rock Slide.
Rock Slide.
He stands next to Blocking Train. Oh, hey, at the beginning of each turn, I heal 1. Hey, look, I Colossal Push.
And he's Hellion as well. Ta-da!
White Queen. Guess what? Guess who her name is? Emma Frost. Why change?
Whoa!
What?
Surprise!
Yep,
Shock and awe!
exactly. So she's 100 points, 7 range, 2 boats. She has the Generation X, Hellfire Club, and X-Men. Real name Emma Frost, as we went through. 6 clicks. She has the Headmaster Generation X um, trait, which is Leadership and Perplex, but only for Generation X, and she can bring a student ID for free during force construction. She has first 3 clicks of her higher starting line at 100 points with the special movement power called Psychic Obfuscation, which is mind control, sidestep, and stealth. And also has a damage power on her first 2 and last 2 clicks, which is unlocking your potential and power and enhancement. And when White Queen uses either power, she can instead affect friendly characters within 3 square, and it doesn't mention line of fire if they share a keyword with her. George.
Um, it's very simple to understand for a new player, even though it's a prime. I'm gonna give it a 7.
All right. So Generation X, Hellfire Club, X-Men. I'm disappointed that the primes can't work together because running her with the Prime Magneto with the Hellfire Club thing that he does would be amazing. But that aside, having a 100 point value and a 50 point value, and being the Gen X leader, wow. I mean, being able to empower them after they move and then close attack, and I can do it within 3 squares. And a lot of them have knockbacks, so you're pushing them over to somebody else. They're batting around. You're playing tennis with your opponent's team on a Gen X team. So, I'm going to have to give her a 7 just because of the fun implications you can do with building a theme team with her.
Okay, well, in again, Seals is a little bit dependent on what you're going to put. Granted that for X-Men, she's going to be very helpful because within 3 squares, she's going to get everyone in. Unfortunately, not going to benefit from her Headmaster because they're Generation X oriented. Although I would love to see if you can build a Generation X team with her because you could pull some very cool shenanigans into increasing everyone's damage and having her behind walls and whatever. So there's potential there, but again, in Sealed, it's hard for you to build around it and expect this to happen. Mind control, sidestep, and stealth is always cool to have, especially all 3 together. Penetrating psychic blast for 3 damage and 7 range 2 bolts. Sign me up. Indomitable, easy X-Men team ability. I think she's great. Expected to be because she's a prime, but I think she delivers. The point is, she looks like a buffed up support or a multi-knife secondary attacker. So, and we're gonna see the king or queen of this in the next character. So I think she might be a little bit too much points unless your team fits into it in sealed. On unfortunately in constructed, I don't think we have a call in for her, right? Not that I
We do,
recall.
Emma
We
Frost.
do. Great. Yeah,
Well,
she's
no,
gonna
I
take.
guess you can't. You can't because she's White Queen. Well,
Yeah,
no,
and
I think she has the. She does. She has the alias, the other
awesome
identity,
in the
White
car.
Queen. So you can call her in.
Yeah. So for 3 penetrating and then doing the shenanigans on the empower enhancement for the rest of the team and also the perplex, she can perplex herself because she can no another friend because she can't. She has to perplex someone else. So it's a little
Mhm.
bit so likely not much in the constructed. Really maybe good in sealed. I would say a 6 for sealed because you're dependent on the rest of the pools. But not a bad character at all.
Number 60, Venus de Milo. Uh, Keywords, aesthetics, celebrity. Real name, de Milo. First 2 traits. First trait, headlines. When Venus de Milo hits one or more opposing characters after resolutions, give her a headline token. Period. This includes when an opposing character is hit with telekinesis. Second trait, pinpoint teleportation. Passenger 2, telekinesis. period. Free. Remove any number of headline tokens to use telekinesis that many times at no cost. This may be in addition to a normal use of telekinesis. She has improved movement through elevation, hindering, blocking characters, basically whatever you're needing her to move through. Looking at just the powers and what she has, for new player, I'm gonna have to probably go 7.
7?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Venus Dee Milo. She was a very anticipated character for me, especially after I saw what she does. Being a transporter and a support character, as well as a secondary attacker with running shot, and side, being able to carry people through and shoot afterward, and then TK afterward if you were successfully hit, because you could remove the headline token. She's just amazing. And then you hit her to mid, then she's got perplexed. She carried down, goes back to support with energy explosion, running shot, and regen, so she can come back with the X-Men team ability to be healed, all for 85 points. Limited keywords with ecstatics and celebrity. I would have liked to see X-Men or New Mutants, some other bridge in there. So your theme building options are limited, but she is a great addition to any team in casual.
Yep, I think she's the buffed up army knife. I think she's gonna do great in sealed. She hits hard. She has support to help the rest of the team. 20 defense against ranged is great. Then perplex, then regen and support. Energy explosion in the end. She can do the trick. It's plus if we actually happen to hit just once or twice, you can carry everyone. Then TK people in or TK your team out. So there's endless possibilities around what she can do. I think she's gonna do a lot of damage in seal. She can. I don't know why they call her him in the headline straight, but that's okay. It's. I like it a lot for seal. In constructed, I think there's room. The only thing that itches me a little bit is that her needing to attack and hit a few to be the ultra power she can be. It's a little bit more complicated, but there's potential there. If we with the cerebrals will brainstorm something into it, but there's something to be had there. I would wait a little bit for rotation again for the point you said. Nighthawk takes away a big part of her defense, and there are ways to work her through. But post rotation, deserves put it in your future watch because there's tons of potentials to watch for there.
All right, guys. Well, that wraps up the super rares. We're going to go ahead and just dive right into the chases. We've got 6 chases, and then we're going to throw the Ellie in there for a good measure as a sweet after treat for everybody. Then I will lead us out with number 61, Angel, Age of Apocalypse X-Men. Real name, Warren Worthington III, so you can call him in from an Angel ID card. Real name has nothing to do with that. Sorry, guys. Trait, Survivor of the Age of Apocalypse for now. Now, all the chases have this, so I'm going to cover this once. When Angel is damaged, or somebody with this trait is damaged, so specifically, when Angel is damaged, each other character that has it when they are damaged, by an opposing character, give that character a revenge token. When Angel attacks, a character with one or more tokens named Revenge, modify attack and damage by +1. Now I'm going to pause right here. That means that even if they've got 5 revenge tokens, I still only modify my attack and damage by +1. So it's just the one little booster. When Angel is KO'd, you may choose an opposing character with a token named Revenge and remove all of those tokens and roll that many d6s. For each roll that is a 5 or 6, deal that character 1 penetrating damage. Now, I did have the advantage, the opportunity to see this happen in a game. Somebody was running Iceman and Jean Grey together. They were handing out tons of tokens, and when that character KO'd, they just grabbed a fistful of the dice for however many, and they rolled them. They never managed to pull off more than 1 damage off of these revenge tokens on a KO. It was kind of sad. And then there was the Invincible that just absorbed it all. So you got to be really careful when you're trying to work with these. Angel, his special attack power that he gets on his last click, Trying to set things right. Stop. Free. Deal 3 damage to each other character within 5 squares and destroy each piece of blocking terrain within 5 squares. Then deal Angel 1 unavoidable damage. So he goes kablooey at your choice. Now, unfortunately, it is free. I was really hoping it would just be stop, then do it. But I guess they want you to have the ability to control when that happens. But at a 16 super senses, you better hope it's the last shot that they did, or you pushed him onto it.
Yeah.
Starts with his special movement power, which I totally skipped over. Sorry. Sidestep, stealth, shape change, but only if he's not adjacent to a friendly character. So he has to be out there on his own. But he's got sidestep and stealth. I would have liked to have seen charge in there, but he doesn't have it. 11 attack, 17 defense combat reflexes, and 2 with perplex. Great addition to an X-Men or Age of Apocalypse team. Pretty much has sidestep until the very end, then he charges in there, and then hopefully you're pushing him, and then he blows up. And then hopefully he's been shot a couple times and hands out more revenge tokens. George?
All right. Again, a lot of that's got like a lot of words and a lot of stuff the new player might have a hard time understanding. I'm going to probably give at least Angel a 4.
As far as your theme, you've got X-Men and Age of Apocalypse for your casual. Being able to throw them out there and blow them up for only 60 points, you might do it in a casual just for fun. Being able to taxi people around with flight, I'll give him a 6.
I like him. It's there's no rule there, but it's kind of expected that you're gonna play the chases on your shield. Um, I think this especially. Remember when we discussed that having your opponent crazy about what to do and threat assessment, it's always positive. This guy is made to keep on going through stealth to stealth and until you get alone straight up the team's face. Now the guy has to think, well, I'm not gonna one shot him. If I do, my whole team gets damaged. But if I take a while to kill him, he's gonna get revenge token. He's gonna be hitting me 11-3, 11, 12-3, 11-3 plus his perplex, which he can keep bringing to defense until he gets there. I hate characters that I already mentioned this. They're meant to be up in your face, having energy shield deflection mid dial. I don't like it at all. I'm sorry. But anyways. So I think it's good, especially in Seal. You're not gonna have many reducers, and your opponent will be, man, do I deal with this now? Do I deal with this later? I have to move my whole team away, and it's gonna be pounding and pounding. And if you don't, it's I like him. I like him in Sealed a lot. I would even go to a 7, maybe even an 8, because if it weren't for the lack of range, and like you mentioned very well, Mike, move and attack, but he still can bridge the gap with his shape change, get close, and be annoying. Unconstructed, I like other angels better for the call in. Maybe I heard PJ, and all credit to him, thinking that, mentioning that eventually it would be interesting to try to see if you can do a team with the chases, because although the revenge tokens do not, and you said it very correctly, Mike, do not add more attack and damage, because it's whether you have one or more, you only get it once. They're all the same revenge tokens. If you start dealing damage to different chases, you're going to add up those tokens. It's not going to make the attack or damage higher, but it's going to add up a ton of those revenge tokens in case you deal with one. So if your opponent was planning to kill you by death by 1,000 cuts, he's gonna be suffering. So your only fear should be opponents that can knock you off in one hit. So it's worth a try, but it's a very specific niche in constructed. So other than that, I don't see him as a call-in. Maybe on a full chase team to try to leverage on revenge tokens. The Dark Beast. I love the sculpt. And he's Hank McCoy. He has the Age of Apocalypse, the Dark X-Men, the Exiles, Morlocks, and Scientist. He has a trait that says hiding in this reality, stealth. During force construction, Dark Beast gains the X-Men keyword if at least 2 other characters on the force have it. The other trait is Survivor of the Age of Apocalypse, which is exactly what we discussed. No changes whatsoever for Angel. And finally, he has the first 3 clicks, a special movement power that says staying in the background, which is lip climb and sidestep. He has Blade on his first 3 clicks, 17 super senses. He doesn't have Indomitable. Alternates outwit, perplex, outwit, and then goes back to steal energy with exploit weakness and combat reflexes. George, what do you think about the Dark Beast?
This one, just kind of looking at it, looks like this one might be a little bit easier for a new character. So I'm going to give this, a new player, sorry. Um, I'm going to probably give this one probably at least a 5.
All right. So from the casual, the fact that you can turn him into an X-Men during force construction is amazing. I love that. Age of Apocalypse, Dark X-Men. Dark X-Men is a very few and far between. I love Exiles, Morlocks. There's interesting to see a lot of stuff there. And then Scientists. You're going to fit him on any Scientist team. Um, you're really going to want to run with other Age of Apocalypse so you can get those tokens. But overall, you leap climb out into stealth, couple squares away from your opponent so that they're thinking about coming to get you, but then you outwit them on their charge or sidestep, and then you sidestep out and blades them, and then have somebody else get you back into your hindering. If you do take a hit, then you've got Steel Energy to get you back up, and then you've got at least one Revenge token out there, which can be giving you 11 and 4. I don't know why you would ever roll Blades, to be honest, if you're packing 4 damage at that point. That second click is definitely the activator because you're going to want to be able to perplex up your attack, and then if you've got a Revenge token out there, you're up to a 12 attack with Blades and 3. So again, if 3 and Blades, that's a tough decision. But if you really got to make it stick, you got to make it stick. Exploit, again, sidestep getting in there to dish out some damage, and then he's just brawling at that point with combat reflexes. For as far as fun goes, I know a lot of people have poo-pooed this guy, and he's one of the lower end chases at this moment. But I would give him a 7 for casual play, just because he fits a lot of close combat needs, and with the right support, you could really move him around a lot and make him count.
Well, my comment is whatever the last guy said for sealed. I like him. 60 point. He has the outwit. Yeah, it's missing Indomitable, we know, but life goes on. Especially being a chase. I think they could have make him a little bit cooler on that. But 60 points with outwit, all the damage capabilities, has perplex in between there, has still energy to go back to his crazy negation powers. Like you mentioned perfectly, all by the time he's not on his first click, unless you pushed, all his attacks and damage will be an extra 1 there. So he can dish out. In sealed, you're not going to see anyone one-shotting him again. You're going to have to go more than one. Putting him in your face team, and he can do great. I honestly think so. So I would go even. I think he's even a little bit better than Angel in sealed. In constructed, if you call him in this while the card lasts, it's still a blade without wit, which is not too bad whatsoever. You're not going to be able to leverage on the token, but it's not that bad. Someone that can have outwit call in and the potential to do some decent damage. So I wouldn't rule him completely out. Of course, while you can still call the super rare beast from the last X-Men set that has crazy outwit, he might still be a little bit more viable. But but this one is not to be forgotten. But again, don't buy this chase only because you want to call him in. If you pull him in sealed, enjoy a lot, and he also doesn't break our X-Men team, so it's pretty strong. Constructed, the jury out there. Let's see how it plays. But not likely to see him in main force anytime soon.
All right, number 63, Cyclops. Keywords: Age of Apocalypse, Horseman of Apocalypse. That one kind of makes me a little happy. But new player standpoint, real name Scott Summers. He does have improved targeting. This character can make range attacks while adjacent to opposing characters. May target adjacent or non-adjacent opposing characters. Trait went over special attack ability he gets on looks like his lower dial. Whatever it takes to stop you. Precision strike, knockback. And then on his higher point value, he gets a special damage, its leadership, and enhancement. New player standpoint, they might not know the whole thing for the knockback or this may target adjacent or non-adjacent opposing characters. So for new player, I might have to give this one maybe a 5, just so they can get a better understanding of it.
Okay. From a casual standpoint, Age of Apocalypse, Horsemen of Apocalypse, you're not seeing a lot of play here until you go into Golden for those Horsemen of Apocalypse keywords. We're losing 2 of them, being left with only 2 in Modern after rotation. So that's a big downside there. 100 points for what you're getting here. You're not going to want him to take a hit because he's just going to drop hard and fast, but he does go into Sidestep and Range Combat Expert. Being able to shoot while in base contact is a must, in my opinion, for any Cyclops because that's his deal. It shouldn't matter if he's standing right next to you or you're across the board. He should be able to shoot you. Being able to knock people back when they're right next to you could really help out. Have somebody run up and get that enhancement, get a leadership, get a token pulled off if they're, less than 100 points or share a couple of your very rare keywords. But it does have 8 range. So I'm just going to have to midline this at a 5 or a 6. I'll say 6 just because of his possibility and power level for casual, but your theme teams are going to be really limited.
I couldn't agree more, and that's why I wouldn't place him that high in shield. He's okay for 100 points. At least he's synergic when he steps into sidestep, RCE and energy shield deflection. Now it makes sense because he's trying to be away from you, and he should be, especially when he gets the precision strike and knockback. Because if you get close in, he push you back by shooting you in the face. So the leadership at 100 points is decent. It will actually use. You're not dependent on the X-Men keyword that's lacking for the leadership to go through because we saw there are not many characters above 100 points that you're going to be bringing to the table. But unfortunately, we have a lot of Cyclops. They are very good. And that can fill in the gap, and you would rather be picking to be able to do a team. If you're not going for a team, for 100 points, this guy could be your main attacker. He hurts. He has potential, and his dial talks to itself nicely, has synergy. But again, go for the team and use this as a last resort main attacker. But it's not a bad figure. I think just out of the chases, for Seal is the weakest one in terms of synergy, and for constructed, he's a good call in for 11-4 penetrating, and you can also have the flexibility, or if you think you need knockback or a bit more raw damage, you can do a 10-5 with RC. So he has good options. Depending on what your team is, and if you have an X-Men guy on your team, you might be within this one and the one that attacks twice when an X-Men guy is damaged. But it's a guy that it's not a bad option for a call in. Depends on the situation. You might want the one that breaks the wall, so it's not going to be him. Anyways, okay, like you said, midlining 5 or 6 on sealed, a 5-6 guy for call in. Definitely not going to be in your main force in constructed. Unless you're
All
playing a
right.
PGA Age of Apocalypse chases team, then that's a different story because you have a trick in your sleeves.
All right. Up next, number 64, Chase Iceman. Very sought after figure, one of the highest value in the set at the moment. Age of Apocalypse X-Men, real name Bobby Drake. We covered Survivor of the Age of Apocalypse, ... for now. Trait, Ice Clone. At the end of your turn, parentheses, before clearing, if the number of Ice Clone bystanders on the map is less than the number of Iceman's action tokens, generate one. Free, remove an adjacent bystander Ice Clone or an adjacent Ice Clone bystander from the game. This turn, Iceman has giant size and modifies attack and damage by +1. So by the end of your second turn, you should have 2 Ice Clones on the board, or you're doing it wrong. His special defense power, barrier, energy shield, flexion, and invulnerability, which he picks up on clicks 3, 4, 5 at 175 points. He does have a lower value at 60, 7 range, 2 bolts, Indom. High end, he starts with running shot, pulse wave, 11 attack, 18 impervious, goes into sidestep pulse wave, goes into sidestep special defense with enhancement, goes to phase teleport, pensai, and then on his lower values, he's got sidestep pulse wave, 18 defense, toughness with enhancement, drops into phase teleport, pensai, and regen. Overall, again, you're going to be trying to maximize those ice clones, which have sidestep, in cap, 16 toughness, and shape change. and then gobbling them up for +1 to attack and damage, and then trying to maximize on your revenge tokens as well. George?
New player standpoint, the ice clone, like you said, if you're not popping out 2 by the end of your turn, you're not doing right, since the new player might not get that concept. I'm going to give him a 4.
Oh, 4 for the Iceman, the ever-loved Iceman. All right, from casual standpoint, the fact that he's got X-Men is his saving grace. He could become the new staple Iceman that everybody uses. Absolute gorgeous sculpt. Everybody wants him to work because he's pulse wave craziness, but the problem is he's got to be out there by himself. So if he's generating an ice clone, you're pulse waving your own ice clone. If he eats the ice clone, then you don't have an ice clone on the board. So it could be very problematic overall, but I mean, he's gorgeous and he's a lot of points and he's got a lot of power. Why wouldn't you run him in casual? There's a billion reasons, but do it anyway. I give him a 7.
Yeah, well, in sealed, it's kind of the real deal. Just watch out for someone with penetrating damage, not to spoil your party. You can, if you place right and your opponent don't pay attention, you can move, make a token, free action. Make your clone, free action, remove the clone, and then do a 12/5 pulse wave. So, but that one is easy to see coming. So you can. It's a free
you
action.
can't make the clone until it's the end of your turn. You can't make the clone.
But can't you move at the end of a turn? Before clearing it, the number of ice clone by center map is less than the Iceman action token. You read one. So you're gonna move, you're gonna have 1 action token. By the end of the second round, you're gonna make the first one. And before you make the second one, you hit one of them so that you pulse wave without the first.
And so then you're at 2 action tokens to make another one. Yeah, okay. I can see that.
So but again, your opponent will see it coming. If he's paying attention, he'll only be post wave if it's not if he can't hide and if it's not doing anything about it. And with all due respect, in a barrier field meta, protecting yourself from pulse wave is not that complicated nowadays. Having said that, the clones are great. Shape change in cap is awesome. I think it's in cap as in your main guy is not something, but if you're generating pogs are just out of fun, you can out action your opponent. You have more options to have these alternative actions that remove action tokens for our opponent. This is amazing. This guy might be worth playing even on the 60-point level where he still stand his pulse wave, but it's not the main attraction. You can keep generating clones that are going to either attack with 3 damage from your enhancement, or I do recall correct, the ice clones do have a range of 5. They do, and they have sidestep, shape change. So this guy is great. I think the generational token is good. In the current meta, I would wait a little bit because calling Nick Fury and Green Arrow, you can quickly bring him down a lot, or you're gonna have to run him with some support, and then things got a little bit more complicated. But he can be a good call-in tent pole. Again, I would love to see some Invincible there, but he's strong. What is going to be made of him is still out. Whether it's better 60 than 175 or 175 than 60, but in sealed, to me, it's a no-brainer because it's that strong. And Kid Gladiator doesn't have penetrating damage, so the big guys, Magik might be your real threat here. But again, if you play the ones who have to stand close to you, remove that clone, deal 5 damage, pulse wave, have some fun. So yeah, I would say an 8 or 9 in sealed, and definitely showing up in constructed. But I think the jury's out whether as a tent pole. Currently in this rotation, definitely not as a tent pole. But for the next one, probably as a tent pole. But definitely worth playing on the 60 already due to the POG generation, and the POGs are useful. Jean Grey. Awesome Jean Grey, 90 points in her higher stat line, X-Men team ability, 8 range single target, Age of Apocalypse, and X-Men. Her real name is Jean Grey. She has the trait for the chases regarding the revenge tokens, and she has in her first 3 clicks, the special attack power that is penetrating psychic blast. Period. Telekinesis, normally or as free. If Jean Grey uses telekinesis as free, her range value becomes 3 and replace 6 with 3 in the text of the power. So it's a all-round 3 telekinesis when used as free. Shield them, and then she has on her 3 last clicks special defense power, which is shield them from nuclear winter, regeneration, period, barrier as free, but only to place 1 marker. Running shot, first 3 clicks, outwit, first 3 clicks, 11 attack, 18 defense with willpower, then drops to mind control and penetrating psychic blast, where he alternates 10 for 3, 11 3, then 12 2. What do you think, George?
This one I'll probably give Jean a 5, just because some of it's easy to understand, some of it might take a little bit more finagling.
All right. So from a casual perspective, Age of Apocalypse, we've kind of been over this with the X-Men keyword. She fits in on any X-Men team. I do want to do a quick shout out with the Telepathic Tempest. The wording here, telekinesis, comma, normally or as free. We did have a debate with this in the Cerebros whether or not she would be able to do both the power and the free. We did find some examples in the rule book that we ended up pairing up the wording perplex or outwit, which you get one or the other, versus the wording with an actual comma, meaning that it's kind of a caveat to the power, but because she can still do the power for TK and the free for the TK, she does get both. That was a very open debate between Pedro and myself, and I ended up dropping the rule book on his toe. So, score one for me. But the fact that she can throw herself 3 squares and then running shot 5 and then shoot 8 with Pensai and then outwit you afterward and then do it again the next turn, wow. She has a crazy long reach for 90 points. In your casual games, she's going to be a lot of fun to play as a primary attacker, and then you can pair her up with a bunch of X-Men and just say that, Jean survived the Age of Apocalypse and joined up with everybody else. You can, run with the Age of Apocalypse pieces from Uncanny X-Men and just have a good storyline battle overall. I'm going to have to give her an 8.
I like her as well. For everything you said, she can hurt pretty bad. She has outwit 90 points. The trait works beautifully. She becomes an even more terrifying damage dealer with the revenge tokens up there. She's gonna have 3 clicks for her generation. So again, in sealed, nobody's gonna be wiping off the board. So you're likely to come back from your clicks. You have a good chance. And so very strong character. Definitely a play. Almost an auto play in sealed, an 8 or 9 easily. On construction, she's very good. She might even make a main team. She's definitely a great call-in because outwit and then hit, and then TK herself. It's like a kind of a sidestep, right? Running shot to your maximum range of call-in. Do your stuff. Pick TK as free. Walk 1 extra square. Bye bye. Nobody hits me back. So for 90 points, you can fit in almost any team. So yeah, definitely a great call-in right there, and also very strong in seal. So there you go. Probably, arguably paired with Iceman, one of the best, if not the best chase, but the jury's out there. Monetarily wise, Iceman's winning.
No, actually, Iceman
Oh,
has
she's
come
even.
down a
Oh,
little bit, and as far as
nice.
I know, she's still holding 80 strong. Iceman's doing about 75. I've seen some fluctuation right now, but they are neck and neck.
Awesome. So depending, check the internet when you listen to this or watch this and let us know.
All right. Looks like I get the last chase. Number
Yep.
66, Mr. Sinister. Keywords: Age of Apocalypse, Horseman of Apocalypse, and Scientist. Real name: Nathan Essex. Gone over the first trait. Second trait: Man of Mystery, Shape Change. Movement ability he gets for his first 2 clicks: Lurking Manipulator. Stealth, period. Sidestep, period. At the beginning of your turn, you may place Mr. Sinister adjacent to a friendly character within 6 squares. If you do, he can't make an attack this turn. Looks like he's got some running shot, sidestep, pen sight at the beginning, precision at the end, invincible, toughness, regen, leadership, outwit, and prob. New player. I might give this one a 6.
All right. From a casual player standpoint, again, we're looking at really limited keywords, except for Scientist, which is going to squeeze him into just about everything. The fact that he just has, I'm on the board, but you can't see me. He's pulling the John Cena on you. Stealth, sidestep, shape change. and then you tap him once, he gets the revenge tokens if you run him with other Age of Apocalypse. This one right now is also one of the lower ones. People aren't really seeing how to use him because he's 100 points of support character, but thanks to some help from Dano, we've really been looking at this guy going, wow, for what he does, you could really just break him. And I'm going to run a few of these out here, Pedro. I'm sorry if I step on your
No,
toes.
don't worry. Go for it.
So within 6 squares, he can go out during the beginning of your turn. So you have somebody like Mystique out there who can just be wherever she wants on the board, not get shot. Hey, he jumps out 6 squares, then he leaderships her. And now you're 6 squares on the board with 100 points for ID card call in. Now, you're not allowed to do any other attacks, but you can still outwit on your second click if you have Force Blast from an item. If you have anything that isn't an attack, you can still do it, including an ID card call in. And then say you have somebody else that's out on the board that you jump next to them, leadership them, they do something, say they're tiny size, you can pick them up and walk away with sidestep out of the hindering terrain that you were hiding in and walk over to some other hindering. He's an extraction expert. You bamp over and then take somebody away. There's a lot of things he can do. I'm going to challenge all Heroclix players out there to really look at this Mr. Sinister and say, what can I do with this guy if he were to move over, pick up somebody, and move out? Or how can I move him in and then do an ID card call in and make that effective and then have a follow-up to that? Just with those two alone, I think this guy's going to see a lot more casual. I don't think those techniques are going to be meta. And the fact that you can run him in Scientist, I think there's going to be a lot of flourish there. So I'm going to give him a 7.
Awesome. I think no, you got it. You got it right there. That's the main discussion. There are uses for him. There's potential there. Being able to get into anyone and deciding to leadership, it's always good. It's again, you only have to be within 6 squares. There's no line of fire needed, so you're gonna go whatever you need to go through to get there. We can push him into altitude, like you mentioned, and even eventually get to pro. But again, always read him if his damage has a +1 to attack and damage all through. So if you read with the one extra in each, he start to make sense point wise. I agree with you. For a calling battery, he's amazing. So don't, like you said, don't over look this figure. He can do some decent shenanigans there. It's like you said, it's a highly costed support figure, but has the mobility to maybe be a valid calling battery. So it's the jury's going to be out there. The lack of full power hurts a little bit, but nobody's perfect. But I agree. I like the challenge. I think you might see him play sooner than expected.
Numbers for sealed and
I would
and
go. I
competitive.
would go. I would go only for the lack of the X-Men keyword there. I would go a 6 on sealed. But he's worth more if you can't form a team because then if you can't have a team, then his leadership is better at 100 points and being flexible. And outwit is also always great in last case scenario prob as well. So he's still a strong figure. But compared to the other chases, it's to me in sealed is the one that maybe only loses to Cyclops in terms of lack of synergy because his movement shenanigans can still be very useful. I would go 6 on sealed and modern. The jury's out there. I'll gladly judge the ideas that come and see how he's rated. So far, I'm gonna go neutral, like closer to a 6. But with the right mindset and with the right ideas, you can bump this number up easily.
All right. So we're going to wrap this up with the LE number 100, Mr. Sinister, Marauders, X-Men Scientist, real name Nathaniel Essex. And this is, to my understanding, the What If storyline. What if Mr. Sinister formed the X-Men? First trait, Headmaster for the X-Men, Leadership Perplex, but only target another friendly character with the X-Men keyword, Student ID for free. Twisted X-Men, trait. Friendly characters with the X-Men keyword have power. Choose an adjacent opposing character and deal that character 1 damage and roll a d6. 1 through 4, this character would be dealt 1 unavoidable damage. Now, that's a lot of wording, but break it down, it's the inverse of the X-Men team ability. Rather than I heal you 1, it's I damage you 1. Then I roll. If it's not a 5/6, I take 1 damage. That's just how it breaks down. And then on his last 3 clicks, his defensive power, friendly characters within 6 squares, including himself, can use regeneration. 8-click deep dial starts with sidestep. Invuln has Indom, shape change, goes to phase teleport, impervious, outwit, sidestep again, then phase teleport, and then everybody gets regen for 125 points with X-Men team ability and 6 range. George?
Well, just because the Twisted X-Men, just for that one, I probably maybe give him a 5 because some of the new players are going to be working on the X-Men team ability. So I'll give him a 5.
All right. As far as the casual, Marauders, X-Men Scientist, all great keywords. You're going to be able to blend him nicely. It's a shame that the headmaster is only on X-Men, so that's going to be limited to the X-Men team. Same with the Twisted X-Men. So again, you're narrowing your theme team to one thing specifically. He does not have a lot going for him. He's a real stationary turret that's just going to be taking damage. And being at 125 points, that is a tasty, tasty figure to be taking advantage of. But in casual fun, it could make for a great theme and just say, ha ha ha, what if Mr. Sinister formed the X-Men? And I dare say, run him with the Prime Deadpool and just start poking people. Just be like, you take a damage. Oh, I took damage. Now I heal. Now you take a damage, and I take a damage, and I heal. And just have fun with it. I'll give him a 6.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's good interaction with all the Deadpool, the Deadpool Prime. Also some fun stuff there. Um, he does have X-Men, right? Or am I going crazy? The one that heals, or is it X Factor and the other guy and someone else has it? I have to remember. Well, if you pull this guy in sealed, you're likely cheating. So be careful. You're probably gonna get caught. It's gonna be an issue. So no scores there. I like characters with long dials and 3 defense powers of a generation. To be tentpole characters, especially if they have outwit for a long time. Uh, but like you said, it's a turret. It lacks a little bit of mobility. You have a lot better tentpoles out there to call in um, characters. Maybe if you're gonna make a full teleport made out of X-Men, that's gonna be a little bit cooler because there's an extra perplex there, and then you start to get sassy with some other things going on. You can have maybe a Moira there, if I recall correctly, to add some flavor to it and make your teleporter cheaper. I think he's a viable tentpole call-in if you're trying to start playing competitive and you want to take an idea of what it is. But there's plenty more that's going to be more useful than this guy. You're probably going to rely him on a long click and using the teleporter and bringing some people in because he can bring in Nick Fury, he can bring all the main guys up to 125. So it's fun. I don't want to say it's meta, but if you want to put your toe in the water and have someone that can stand a couple of blows and maybe see how it does, his shape change helps. He might be a fun option, but it's not truly a meta. But again, no point in mentioning sealed and fun, but I'm not seeing it in meta to be a hardcore meta. Definitely not. Although dishing out regeneration to your whole team in the right situation could be devastating for your opponent. But your opponent being an experienced player, we're not going to let you sit on that dial for long, if at all.
All right, guys. So that wraps up our Super Rares Chases and LE for the X-Men Xavier School. Hope you've enjoyed these reviews. Hope it helps you figure out what you want to go drop that big green on to complete your set, or what you want to run for your sealeds or your metas or your casual games, or just give you the new guy's perspective. Let us know how this format's working for you. We're just trying something new here. We're going to go ahead and say we're going to engage the community here because I challenged people to do something with this. Comment below and let us know what you think you could pull off with Mr. Sinister Chase. And then please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and remember,
Strike first.
And strike hard.